Where's my phone? Greetings, greetings. How's everyone doing? You guys doing well? I hope you are doing well. Buenas noches. Hope you guys are doing well, man. And the families are great. Families are doing great. Everybody's having fun. All right. Okay, so let's get started here with this lecture. That's number 2, cholesterol. I needed to set this phone here. Deborah, I'm doing well. Lean, how are you? Hello. Hi, hi, hi. Greetings, greetings, greetings. All right, session number 2. Session number 2. Let me set this down here. Cholesterol. Cholesterol lecture. Let's see, let's make sure I have enough volume over here so I could broadcast properly, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well, man, and your families are safe. And don't forget, okay, it is imperative that you take all the necessary precaution in maintaining good physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual health. All right, that's your job. No one else is. You know, you have teachers, you have guidance, you know, and so forth. You have educators and stuff, but the real work is you. Okay, it's on you. You have to do that real work. Okay, so as always, I am not a doctor or a medical professional. I am an herbalist, holistic health educator, and a researcher. I do not prescribe medicine, nor do I give medical advice, all right? My work is for educational and informational purposes. So last week, we discussed and we learned what is cholesterol. Okay, the different types of cholesterols, the role that our liver and bile play in how we utilize it, and some foods, we talked about some foods that help balance that cholesterol. All right, so tonight we will discuss the structure of the arteries and the veins. Then we'll look at stress factors, diabetes factor, high blood pressure factor, and we'll go over some herbs that can help. All right. And I will also be talking about my my monthly program. My monthly program that can help you with your diabetes, your hypertension, cholesterol. We'll talk about a little bit about my antiviral mix or blend. All right. And we get into that. You guys ready to rock and roll? That's awesome. All right. So let's look at the structures. Real short, real sweet and short. All right. Structures of the arteries and the veins. So arteries always carry blood away from your heart. The arteries take the blood from you. When your blood pumps, it gets to the arteries and it goes away from the heart, which is oxygenated blood. Your veins carry blood towards the heart, which is deoxygenated blood. Your arteries carry blood under very high pressure because they are bigger vessels than veins are, and veins carry blood under low negative pressure. Arteries have thick, muscular, and elastic walls to pump and accommodate blood. Veins, on the other hand, have thin walls and they have less muscular tissue than arteries. All right, so they're a connective tissue that provides strength and support to arteries, and veins have less connective tissue than arteries. Arteries contain a narrow channel in the blood vessel that carries blood, and that's called the lumen. Veins have a wide lumen. The one in the arteries, very narrow. All right? Okay. So let's look at, now we've gone through the structures, or the structure of the veins and the arteries. And the capillaries connect your veins and your arteries, okay? The capillaries, they connect the arteries to the veins. Okay, that's that bridge there. That's that connection. All right, so one factor, and we're talking about cholesterol, okay? One factor that could potentially increase plaque rate is stress. Plaque in your arteries, all right? Stress. And that plaque can accumulate in the arteries. Your platelets can become sticky and can cause thrombosis, making it easier, all right? That's easy prey for the arteries to clot, and you can potentially get a heart attack or stroke, and you could die. Okay, so platelets are colorless blood cells that they circulate within our blood, and proteins in your plasma, they work together to stop the bleeding by forming a clot over the injury. That's what the platelets do. All right? Well, you might ask, how does stress affect cholesterol? I mean, what's the connection? I'm really glad you asked that question. But they're all related, okay? They're all connected. Your body is very intelligent. Your organs, your blood vessels, okay? Your systems, they're all intelligent. So, well, when you're stressed out, right? When you're stressed out, your arteries constrict. They constrict. And that means the arteries get narrower, right? There is more blockage and less access, and less space for the blood to pump through from the heart to the rest of your body, right? To your veins. And what that does, it starves the heart of the nourishing blood, and it's going to trigger chest pain, angina, chest pain, or a heart attack. Right? So when you're severely stressed out, or even a little stressed sometimes, cause your arteries to constrict. That's why I always talk about stress. Keep your stress level managed. You got to manage your stress to stay healthy and to maintain good health, because stress affects other things that are happening in your body, in your system. Even a little bit of stress can trigger heart problems like poor blood flow to the heart muscle. All right, and this is a condition in which your heart doesn't get enough blood or oxygen. And that could become a major problem for you, right? That could be a really bad thing. Hey Aggie, what's going on? What's happening? Mary? Merci beaucoup. Comment ça va, ma sœur? Comment ça va? Is there, Aggie asked if there is good and bad stress. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Bad stress, I'll give you some examples of bad stress. Bad stress is when you get fired from your job and that's your only source of income. That is bad stress. You are going to be stressed out. Another example of bad stress, if you end up in a traffic accident, that's bad stress. Okay, your cortisol level shoots up, your adrenaline shoots up, all right, and those come from the endocrine system, which controls your hormones, those stress hormones, and that sends more blood up to your head. So that's bad stress. When if you're getting evicted from your house or your apartment, that is bad stress. What are some examples of good stress? If you're getting married, it's stressful, but it's for a happy occasion, right? But that's stressful, right? When our sisters, when you are having childbirth, that is a lot of stress on your body, on your pelvic floor, on those muscles down there, all right, on your uterus. That is stress. It is stress, but it's a good type of stress. Even when you're having sex with your partner, that's stress. You know that, right? Boom! Now you know that's stress because the adrenaline is rushing. You got adrenaline during sex. Adrenaline shoots up. That's one of the stress hormones. That's produced by the adrenal gland. You have the cortisol and you have adrenaline. When you and your partner smooching away in the park, there's some stress going on. That's the good stress, all right? So, long-term stress can affect how the blood clots. That makes the blood stickier and it increases the risk of stroke. Women are particularly vulnerable to the impact of stress on the heart. So sisters, listen well. If you suffer from heart disease, even if it's very mild, it is very, very important to recognize stress and learn how to cope with it in a healthy way. Because, sisters, heart disease is responsible for 49% of deaths among all females. All right? It kills an average of 400,000 women each year. Heart disease. Heart disease kills more women in the United States, in America, than all forms of cancer combined. I want you guys to really take that information in. I want you guys to process that for a moment. You need to process that and hear what's being said. Heart disease is responsible for 49% of deaths among all women. It kills an average of 400,000 women each year. That's almost 500,000 people, almost 500,000 women each year. And it kills more women in America than all forms of cancer combined. That's pretty tough. That's hard evidence, man. So high levels of cortisol from long-term stress may be the culprit behind how stress can increase cholesterol. And you also get an adrenaline rush in the process. So both cortisol and adrenaline can trigger a fight or flight response. You either stay or you run. That type of response to deal with the stress. And remember, I just told you about bad stress? Because Aggie asked if there is bad stress and good stress. So those two hormones can trigger a fight. You stay and fight, or you flee, you leave. Of course, when your adrenaline is kicking and more cortisol is there and you making love to your partner, you're not going to fly, you're not going to flee, right? You're going to stay right there and fight, right? Good. So it depends on the type of stress. There are stressful situations where you gotta go, you have to leave. Someone pulls a knife at you. Look, cortisol pumps up, adrenaline, and then you're like, whoa, should I go? Should I stay? Hey, you got a knife. I need to leave. Boom, you're gone. So, with that in mind, your triglycerides in turn boost bad cholesterol, right? In that fight or flight situation, the way you deal with the stress, it can trigger triglycerides, which can boost bad cholesterol. All right? Once the cortisol and the adrenaline are released, once those hormones are released, they send signals that increase blood flow to the brain. They increase signals that increase blood flow to your brain and eventually produces more energy for the body. So what do you think happens at that point? At that point, in that process where cortisol and adrenaline are released, it raises your cholesterol level. It raises your cholesterol level. When was the last time you guys checked your cholesterol levels? When was the last time you went to the doctor and had a blood work done? When was the last time you went to the doctor and did a physical? Let's look at diabetes. Let's look at diabetes and the way it affects, or it's related to cholesterol. So, let me go back here. The American Heart Association is telling us that diabetes often lowers HDL, which is the good cholesterol levels, and raises triglycerides and LDL, bad cholesterol levels, right? Both of these increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. A high level of glucose, which is sugar in the bloodstream, a high level of sugar in your bloodstream is associated with a host of complications, including cholesterol abnormalities. Get it? You guys with me? Good. So the linking factor here, what links diabetes to cholesterol, is insulin resistance. Insulin resistance. And that's when your cells no longer respond appropriately to that hormone, insulin. Insulin resistance. That's the linking factor there. So as a result, okay, you may develop an abnormal cholesterol profile. And these cholesterol abnormalities then increase a person's risk of heart disease and stroke. So, managing your diabetes, I need to replenish this one. My diabetes herbal blend, okay, it's the host of barks and roots and herbs in here to help you balance your cholesterol, get the HDL going up. Managing your diabetes at any stage is about more than just keeping your blood sugar in check. It's more than that. It is also about working to protect your heart health. It is not just about your blood sugar to keep in check. It's a lot. It has a lot to do with your heart. And if your arteries are clogged, or if they're constricted, then when the heart pumps, the blood is not going to gush the way it needs to. It's going to get backed up. It creates plaque. You don't want that. Let me break this down for you. Let me break this down for you. So that way we understand how this works, all right? So after we eat, okay, we have a nice hearty meal. Carbohydrates get broken down into glucose, sugar. We need sugar. The brain needs sugar. Okay, so carbohydrates are broken down into glucose by our digestive system. The glucose is then absorbed through the wall of your intestines into your bloodstream. Through the wall of your intestines into your bloodstream. Once it gets there to the bloodstream, insulin, a hormone, we just talked about it, made by your pancreas, and that is the primary regulator of carbohydrate metabolism, your pancreas. It brings glucose to your cells so they have the energy to function and do their jobs. You need sugar. What you don't want to do is overload on sugar. It's like anything else. You can't overload on sugar. Your blood sugar will shoot up. You will have too much sugar in your blood. You're going to have a problem. Then your kidneys are going to overwork because your kidneys have to work double time to get rid of that sugar. It's going to break it down. The kidney should be doing its normal job of filtering blood. But now you overload the kidneys with sugar and the kidneys working double time. And if you don't stay hydrated to keep the kidney functioning properly while it's working double time, you're going to have some issues. you're going to have some problems. So insulin also blocks the breakdown of fat into fatty acids within your body. Fats are also broken down within the body at an increased rate, and this ultimately leads to various cholesterol changes. All right, so insulin resistance, if your body resists insulin, it lowers your HDL. That's the good cholesterol. It lowers the HDL and it raises triglycerides and LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and that could never be a good sign for you. That is not a good sign for you. You understand that? It's not a good sign. So insulin is essential to the physiological regulation of high density lipoprotein, which is HDL. See? So insulin is essential. So when your body resists insulin, you got a problem. Your HDL is going to drop. Triglycerides go up. LDL go up. Okay? And just to remind you again, I'm not a doctor or medical professional. I am an herbalist, holistic health educator, and a researcher. I do not prescribe medicine, nor do I give medical advice. My work is for educational and informational purposes. Let's look at hypertension. Let's look at hypertension and how it's linked to cholesterol. By the way, this is my cholesterol blend, cholesterol herbal formula here, okay? Helping people get the cholesterol levels back to where it needs to be. There's some HDL going in there and lower the LDL. Hypertension. Okay, so a little bit of statistics before we get into the meat of everything. About 38% of all American adults have high cholesterol, or a total cholesterol number of 200 milligrams per deciliter. More than 43% have high blood pressure. And high blood pressure means either your systolic reading is 140 or higher, or your diastolic reading is 90 or higher, or both. Right? I want you guys to get this, You got to get this. More than 60% of people with high blood pressure in the United States, more than 60% of people, that's more than 6 out of 10 people in this country who have high blood pressure also have high cholesterol. More than 60%. You also have high cholesterol. And both high cholesterol and high blood pressure threaten heart health because they are risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. So when your body cannot clear cholesterol from the bloodstream, that excess cholesterol can deposit along artery walls. You guys following this? When your body can't clear the cholesterol, it needs to go somewhere, because your body is a clog. It's moving. Everything's moving, man. Blood is moving. Plasma is moving. Lymph is going down and up, down and up. You got water in here. Things are moving, man. Things need to move along. The excess cholesterol can deposit along artery walls, which is not really a good thing. So when arteries become stiff and narrow from deposits, those deposits, the heart has to work overtime. The heart works overtime to pump blood through them, because the arteries should be this wide, but now they are this wide, and the same amount of blood needs to go through. The same amount of blood has to go through. It's just like the prostate, man. It's like our prostate. You know what I'm saying? When you find your prostate isn't swollen, the urethra going through the prostate, it's just here. When you pee, when you stand up, when you grab that thing and you pee, it's like a water hose, man, right? No problem. The prostate swells outward, but it's also swelling inward because it's like a donut. It swells this way and it swells that way. So it's clamping down on the urethra, right? But your bladder is full. Your bladder is full, and your kidneys are dropping more urine into your bladder to empty out, because the kidneys are working. All right? They're grabbing calcium buildup. They're grabbing sodium to pass to the bladder so the body could let it out, because it needs to come out. Right? So when your prostate is swollen, it pinches the urethra. Drip, drip, drip from your kidneys into your bladder. Your bladder is filling up. You have the sensation and the urge to pee. The same amount of pee needs to come through the urethra before the prostate was swollen. But since it's pinched, there's going to be pressure, and that's stress down there, guys. But the same amount is trying to get out. The same amount, because the urge, you have that urge in your bladder, right? Your bladder has that urgency to get that pee out. All right, so same here. When your arteries become stiff and narrow, the heart has to work overtime to pump the blood through there. And this causes your blood pressure to go up and up and up, because your heart is working overtime. It's pushing the blood. The blood is not going, but it has to push because the veins are bringing blood back to it. Your veins are constantly bringing blood back to your heart, and your heart has to pump it out through the arteries. And your arteries become narrow. But the blood needs to go through those arteries because the veins are bringing blood back to your heart. And the process goes. Just because the arteries are blocked doesn't mean the heart is going to stop and wait for it. And the veins are not going to stop and wait and say, hey, take a break. Oh, the arteries are kind of narrowed here. Let's take a break. No, the blood keeps going. It doesn't stop. So you got to take care of this. Make sure you don't fall in the category of hypertension and cholesterol. Keep those under control. My cholesterol program. Link me up. I will help you. Okay? Call me, email me, WhatsApp me, message me. Hypertension. Helping tons of people with the hypertension issues. They're all related. All right, I got programs for this as well. So over time, high blood pressure can damage arteries in its own way. It makes tears and indentations in the artery walls where excess cholesterol can collect. Okay, so over time, blood pressure can damage your arteries. So both high cholesterol and high blood pressure belong to a cluster of conditions together are called metabolic syndrome. If you've ever heard of metabolic syndrome, high cholesterol and high blood pressure, they belong to a cluster of conditions that are called metabolic syndrome. You guys all right? Blessed New Year to you, Juliet, and everyone watching. Thanks again for joining me always. Okay, so metabolic syndrome raises your risk for diabetes as well as heart disease and stroke, man. So get this. Cholesterol, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure belong to a cluster of conditions that are called metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome raises your risk for diabetes as well as heart disease and stroke. How are you going to fix that? Even if your cholesterol and blood pressure levels are only mildly elevated, they can interact with each other to more quickly damage your blood vessels and your heart when they are both present in your body. Okay, so if you have both high cholesterol and high blood pressure, even if they're mild, when they are both present in your body at the same time, they can interact with each other to more quickly damage your blood vessels and your heart. Take care of your heart. Exercise. Manage stress. Get into good eating habits. And sleep. Get good quality sleep. I cannot stress those 4 pillars of good health enough for you guys. You got to get those 4. It's not a lot. It's just 4 things to do. But it takes discipline. It takes commitment. And to get it done, you have to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. Mary, you're welcome. Okay? So if your high blood pressure and your high cholesterol or your low HDL, if they're not controlled, they eventually set the stage for heart attack and stroke as well as other problems like your kidney malfunction and vision loss. I kid you not. You don't take care of that cholesterol problem you got and the high blood pressure problem you have, you're setting yourself up for heart attack and stroke, as well as kidney malfunction and vision loss. Get my hypertension program. Link me up. Call me, email me, message me. I'll take care of that. For your cholesterol problem, I got you too. For your liver cleanse, I got you too. For your stress management, I got you too. All right. And over here, I have some fresh ciment comptoir. All right. I love my fresh herbs, so I plant my herbs. I plant bush tea because I love bush tea. All right. Fresh ciment comptoir goes along in the stress herb blend. That's where it goes. So pretty much, I'm not here to convince you of anything. I would like you guys to do your own research. And most of you on here know that I do consultations. I can talk with you. Link me up. We can set up some consultations. Okay? I'm not here to convince you of anything. My job is to convey a message to you. That's all I'm doing. But you have a choice. You have a choice. You can either receive it or reject it. That's it. You receive it fully, wholeheartedly, like many people that I help do, or you can reject it. I will still keep teaching. I'm gonna push the message because that's what it is. The message goes on. All right. So I want you guys to join me next week. Most likely it will be Monday. Again, same time for part 3, so we could conclude the 3-part lecture on cholesterol. All right. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate you guys. Without you, this is not happening. You know, I'll be frank with you. Without you, I don't have a show. So I appreciate you guys' presence. I appreciate your questions, your comments, your love, your sharing. Share the live. Let other people know people need this and they may not be aware of this live. It's taking place and this information is coming to them free of charge. All right? They may not know that. So go ahead and share the live. All right? And have a great night, guys. I will see you guys next Monday. All right? Y'all be good.